What's going on, Socialites? Ryan, Commissioner, Global Pokemon Society, Head Coach, Boston Braviers here with Lily, future champion of the GPS, and Party Pikachu here as well. Lily will take care of Party Pikachu, hopefully not break him while we're doing this. Yeah, can you show them on the camera? Go woo! Alright, so we got a lot to go into. We'll go over some Pokemon news. We'll go over the final week of the Global Pokemon Society Season 6. We'll look at the playoffs. And I got a fast fun fact about all 20 teams to close this out. Let's get right into it. Hopping into the Pokemon news. But I guess before we get there, check out the link in the description. Don't play with the microphone, Lily. For our merch store, you can get 16% off your merch when you use code PLAYOFFS for the rest of November, so definitely check this out. So, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl coming out next week. A lot of stuff being leaked. I'm not going to get into that. If you're interested in me doing a video covering all the leaks, maybe this weekend, a week before the game comes out, I can do that. But they have announced how you can get the mythical and legendary Pokemon. If you play Sword and Shield, you'll be able to get the mythical Jirachi. If you played Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee, you'll be able to get the mythical Mew. And then everybody who plays the game before February gets the Manaphy egg. So you definitely want to check those out. Next up, we got Pokemon Unite. The latest season just started earlier this week. Battle Pass is out. Decidueye confirmed, probably later next week he'll be out. I'll be doing a tier list, most likely tomorrow, letting you know who I think is the best for solo queue ranked for Season 2. So you want to take a look at that when that video comes out. And lastly, if you're a Pokemon Go fan, Shadow Lugia raids are now live, so definitely check those out as well. For those who remember Gale of Darkness, always a lot of fun. Yeah, Shadow Lugia, you see him, Lily? You see him? Look, Giovanni back there, spooky stuff. Yeah, spooky stuff. Alright, now let's get into the Draft League. So, 10 weeks, we got our one undefeated, as is customary with the GPS. The Denver Ninetales, 10-0. You leaving, Lily? Alright, there you go. 10-0. Bunch of 9-1 teams. Your Boston Braviers, the Memphis Mews, and the Pittsburgh Poltergeist, all 9-1. Vero Beach Volcaronas, 8-2. Driftvale City Dragapults, 7-3. So all those teams get a bye week. And then going into the playoffs, we got Paris Saint-Germain, Charm City Charizards, Black City Zekrom, and the Waco Scizors. So I'm going to hide my face here, that way we don't have to keep doing all this stuff. But you see our top 10 Pokemon here. Zapdos actually ends up as the KO leader for the season. 27 KOs. I thought we had a chance to get to 30 earlier in the season, but a lot of the Pokemon that did very well in the first half of the season just couldn't keep it going in the second half. So Zapdos able to get those 27 KOs, the most in the society. You also see Entei, Kyurem, Porygon, Z, all up there. We'll be having the MVP voting probably early next week. One of my favorites is Conkeldurr from the Denver Ninetales, the undefeated Denver Ninetales. 20 KOs, only 2 faints in 10 games. That is just bonkers sort of numbers there. Alright, so we were kind of talking about playoffs. Let's get into it. Here are all the teams that made the playoffs for Season 6. This week, we're going to be having Paris Saint-Germain, the number 7 seed, taking on the Waco Scissors, the number 10 seed. And Charm City Charizards, the number 8 seed, taking on the Black City Zekrom, the number 9 seed. Then, once we find out those winners, whichever one is the lower remaining seed will have to face Denver, and the higher remaining seed will have to face Boston. Memphis will take on the Driftville City Dragapults, and Pittsburgh will take on the Vero Beach Volcaronas. And from there, we'll see how it all goes. So let me know who you think will win this week in those couple matches, and also who you expect to take the Season 6 championship. Alright, so playoffs on the way. And now it's time to round up the end of this regular season with some fast facts for Season 6. Going for each team, so we're starting off alphabetical order. The Black City Zekrom, a tale of 2 seasons. After starting the season 4-0, one of our teams that was going pretty far undefeated. The Zekrom went on a 4-game losing streak and ended the season 5-5, just making the playoffs in Week 9 with their win over the Tokyo Togekiss. Can they find that spark to make a playoff run? Kind of a typical Black City season. Usually they're somewhere around 500 and make the playoffs. Next we got the Boston Braviaries, dominant in doubles. Another very dominant performance, going 9-1 this season. And let's not forget who is your last 2 doubles champion. It is the Boston Braviaries. So do they have enough in the tank to go on another deep playoff run? I mean, we are using the Gen 8 team. It's not perfect, but it's what we got. We'll have to see here. The Buffalo Bidoofs, growing pains. After a minor league championship in Season 5, the Bidoofs made a strong effort to make the playoffs this season, just falling outside the break. They needed some stuff to go right for them, but unfortunately those last couple weeks they did lose 2 in a row. And one of their Pokemon, Dugtrio, had the worst kill-death ratio of any Pokemon in the society with only 1 KO and 15 faints. So Dugtrio not performing well for the Bidoofs. The Charm City Charizards never getting hot. While the Charm City was able to make the playoffs, they are the only playoff team to never win 2 games in a row during the season. Can they get hot when it matters the most? This was a team that was win-lose, win-lose. At one point, they lost 2 in a row, but they ended up 5-5, and they were able to get in as the number 8 seed with their differential records. So can they make a run here in the playoffs? Or will they lose this week? Because, again, they haven't won twice in a row, so they beat the Bidoofs to get into the playoffs. Will they beat Black City, who they beat early in the season, or will they continue to not get on a winning streak? The Daytona Colossal. Variety is the spice of life. Not only did Daytona bring all their Pokemon to at least 1 game this season, they also did so the most, with their least played Pokemon still appearing in 4 games throughout the season. So not every team brought all their Pokemon to at least 1 game. I want to say probably less than half of them did, which is normal. But Daytona brought theirs the most, so they definitely changed things up. Unfortunately, it didn't help them, with the 1-9 record, but hey, like I said, spice of life. The Denver Ninetales, 10 out of 10 perfection. Denver was the lone undefeated team this season, 10-0, and they accomplished this feat despite using their X-tier Melmetal less than any other team, only bringing Melmetal to 5 games throughout the entire season. Compare that to the second least played X-tier, which was Rayquaza from the Daytona Colossals, who appeared in 7 games. The Diamond Desert Dwellers, Game Freak's favorite. Despite the team going 1-9, the offensive power of Charizard was a bright spot for the Desert Dwellers. Charizard got 14 KOs this season, more than 5 other teams' highest KO Pokemon. So, Charizard, he started off, pun intended, really hot. At one point, I think it was halfway through the season, at 10 KOs. You were thinking maybe he could get 20 or more, but then he got real cold up until the final week where he picked up 4 more KOs. So that's kind of one of the things I think a lot of teams kind of saw that. Tokyo Togekiss, Diamond Desert, when you put a lot of eggs in one basket for your offensive potential, people can counter it pretty easily. The Driftvale City Dragapults sand rushing to the finish after a disappointing start to the season. The Dragapults finished on a 6-game win streak and secured a bye in the playoffs. And this was one of the teams I liked going into the season. They have made some changes. We'll have to see how they end up in the final season team rankings when we do that on next week's podcast. Definitely check that out. But 7-3 is a very good record for the Dragapults after missing the playoffs last season. El Paso Electros can't get the point across. El Paso made a run for the playoffs throughout the season, but despite 3 wins early, they earned 0 points in each of those wins, getting 2-point ties and a forfeit. So El Paso's differential was super low. Even though they won several games, they never earned any points in those. So just very, very interesting stuff. Very rare for that to happen. Limertown Gangars, bad trade, forgetful season. Limertown went into Season 6 with high hopes. They were a very highly ranked team out of the draft. After some early season struggles, they traded their top B pick, Arcanine, in exchange for Reggie Drago, and Reggie Drago never played a single game for the Gangars. So, just makes you wonder, what was that about? Because they probably would have liked to have a Ice Resist on their team as well. And Gyarados could have always been a Moxie sweeper. You could have still picked up Landorus. You could have had 3 Intimidates against some of these teams, a lot of offensive teams. You could have had just Arcanine and Landorus and have Gyarados be Moxie. I don't know. I remember I did a poll after that trade happened, and a lot of people said the trade was even or even in Limertown Gengar's favor. Bull. That's cap. The Memphis Muse, representing the minors. The Memphis Muse are the only former minor league team to make the playoffs, and they did so with an impressive 9-1 record, even securing the Southern Division. So congrats to the Memphis Muse. The mighty Psyducks, not so mighty. After an optimistic draft and a move to a wide open division, this looked like a good season for the Ducks. Unfortunately, the Ducks had their 6th straight losing season. Oof. Oof. Big oof. Oklahoma Thunderous, a tough schedule. The schedule makers didn't help Oklahoma this season. After a perfect Season 5 record, they ended the season with a strength of schedule over 2, the highest ever in the GPS. Before the season started, Oklahoma was ranked as having the 4th hardest schedule based on our rankings of teams, and based on last season's records, they would have had the 11th hardest schedule. So, just saying, if you go off of how all the teams did last season, Oklahoma's schedule would have been middle of the pack. Unfortunately, just every team they played was having a monster season. So, Paris Saint-Germain, the Kingslayer. PSG made some big noise in the final 2 weeks of the season, ending the undefeated hopes of Memphis and Boston. They need those wins to make the playoffs, and we'll see if they can make a run. They didn't secure a bye week, so they got a long road ahead of them, but they do have the number 7 seed. We'll have to see how far they can go in the playoffs here. Pittsburgh Poltergeist just can't beat Boston. Pittsburgh is now 0-3 against the Boston Braviaries. Fast fun fact. Seattle Shiny Sylveons, winless in Seattle. Seattle's lone win came on a rules forfeit. Seattle's only legitimate win, where they actually won the game they were playing against their opponent, came in Season 3. Now there's the caveat, they didn't play in the last 2 seasons, but hey, we don't need that. Slateport Sableyes head coach carousel. Since their inception in Season 3, the Sableyes have had 3 head coaches, the most by any team. Could we compare them to some NFL teams who seem to change coaches every year or 2? Tokyo Togekiss, no Titanic title defense. This is the first season that the defending champion has not made the playoffs, not including Season 4. because Montreal did not play in that season. But yeah, very unfortunate Tokyo did not make the playoffs. Despite giving a very good run early in the season, they ended up losing their last 4 games and missed the playoffs. Vero Beach Volcarona, a landmark season. Vero had their strongest season yet, 8-2, and did so while facing 5 playoff finalists throughout the seasons. One of the highest numbers for a team that made the playoffs. And last but not least, the Waco Scissors against the odds. Waco made it into the playoffs as the number 10 seed despite a 1-4 record in the first half and only an 11% chance to qualify as of week 9. Do they find themselves in a good position to make a playoff run? That's all the fun facts and stuff for the regular season of Season 6. Next week, we'll be going over our final team rankings for the season. Have some other coaches on with me. We'll go over some MVP voting and some other fun stuff. Just let me know who you think's going to make a run in the playoffs here. And as always, stay classy, society.